Oh boy, every few days we are getting ourselves new information, and by the time this video is public on YouTube, I have no doubt, because it's a Monday morning, there probably will be at least one or two more pieces of info as to Mitch Marner's future in the NHL. Today I wanted to go over two tweets that dive into Mitch's list, if you wanted to say that, Marner's list. This is where we will start to really drive a lot of the speculation towards when it comes to Toronto Maple Leafs superstar forward Mitch Marner. Let's head over onto this tweet made by NHL Rumor Report from last week, talking about how Mitch Marner has a list of 7 or 8 teams he is looking at, including Vegas and LA. San Jose, Columbus, and Anaheim are preparing big offers as well, courtesy of the fourth period. Now, last time we made a video talking about Mitch Marner, it was going over the teams that would potentially shell out the most money to him. We had discussed the Chicago Blackhawks and the Carolina Hurricanes as two teams that would be very, very willing to go all the way to the highest dollar amount possible to bring this guy onto their franchise. We also had a brief conversation about Ottawa, Calgary, Montreal, all teams that fans and writers alike have speculated could get in on the Marner sweepstakes. But this commentary by Pagnotta specifically labels out that Marner has his own list of about 7 or 8 teams. Vegas and LA are included there. It's no secret that the Vegas Golden Knights are always in on everybody who is available on the market, and oddly enough, they always seem to get the guy from Tomas Hertl to Pacioretty to Mark Stone to Jack Eichel to Pietrangelo to Hanifin. They get everybody under the sun. It's kind of weird. But ultimately, when you think about the cap structure of the Vegas Golden Knights, unless they make a move or two to get some dollars freed up, it doesn't look like a Mitch Marner contract could be on the horizon. Unless, of course, Marner himself says, hey, I specifically want to play in Vegas. I want to play in an area where there is no state tax, and a place where I can compete with Jack Eichel, because no state tax, again, we can afford a lot of really good players. Everybody's going to be on salary retained. Mark Stone is going to miss out on half the year to go on LTIR, so it's just a match made in heaven for the Toronto Maple Leafs star here. Imagine going from a team where you're so cap-strapped every single year because of you, and because of Austin, and because of Tavares, and because of Nylander, and then you go over to a team where the guys are arguably as good, but they're making a lot less dollars on the cap, and everybody's cheating the cap by going on the LTIR every year and remaining competitive that way. It's a totally different animal when it comes to how they compete. With this in mind, they're not the only team that Pagnotta labels as a potential team on Marner's list. The LA Kings are also on here, and I think for LA, there's this idea that says that they need a top-tier number 1 point producer. They've got the defense, they've got the goaltending, they've got the defensive stability. They can't keep on winning games 2-1, though. Trying to win your games 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. Sure, if you get the wins, you get the wins, but you gotta be able to score some more goals at times. And Mitch Marner could be a very interesting option to suit up alongside of a Kevin Fiala, for example, and try to get those assist numbers up. This could be a really intriguing possibility because, of course, Marner would be the top forward in LA. In Vegas, you can debate him or Eichel or Stone or whatever, but still, you can debate him with Kopitar in LA, but Kopitar is kind of in that second half of his career. It's not really all too guaranteed. But either way, Marner in LA would be a huge resurgence to that hockey team. He could be the added offensive element that they've been lacking. They've been very good. They've been very competitive. If you keep Andrei Kuzmenko around, then Marner with Kuzmenko, Marner with Kempe, that sounds like a really good, transitory, capable forward line. I'm just spitting some ideas here, but you get what I mean. There would be a really interesting opportunity for Marner to mesh with some players that play a lot different than they do in Toronto. Speaking about the LA and California conversation, though, Pagnotta lists San Jose and Anaheim as two teams that could prepare big offers too, not to mention the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is where things get interesting, because if Marner decides that he doesn't really care too much about winning versus getting as much money as possible, then okay, why not head over to San Jose, check out what hockey is like alongside of Tyler Toffoli, Will Smith, Macklin, Celebrini, and whomever it is that team is going to draft at the top of the draft this upcoming year, or take your talents over to Columbus, where it's like, yeah, that team could use a superstar too. The Blue Jackets had very little expectations heading into the most previously completed season, but they were so close to making the playoffs. They took so much positivity throughout the course of the year, and with the stories of guys like Monahan, Marchenko, Voronkov, Fantilli all taking the next step, Marner could be a total stud to go over and join that team. Anaheim, they've been wanting to make a push for quite a few months now, and if Mitch Marner is an option, he potentially wants to get it going with Leo Carlsson, Mason McTavish, then that could be a super great opportunity too. But these aren't the only teams that I wanted to talk about in this commentary. I also wanted to dive into what Cam Robinson said, because this is what was posted about on Twitter yesterday by Leafs Latest. Here's the scoop: there is real smoke that the Florida Panthers might be preparing to make a summer push for Maple Leaf superstar Mitch Marner. There's word the Leafs could be open to a sign-and-trade situation, signing Marner to a max-term 8-year deal and then flipping him to get some value back. This would be absolute sicko mode. We know already that Marner isn't really too keen on getting the sign-and-trade done, but he's not totally against it. Based off of all the insider information we have seen, it seems like if there is a sign-and-trade opportunity, Marner would do it, but he just doesn't feel like it's mandatory. He's not only going to do a sign-and-trade, he's not only going to go to free agency and sign 7 years. Either is okay, and if the Florida Panthers are suiting up and they're like, yeah, you know, we're in the Stanley Cup Playoffs, we just tied things up 1-1, we got Brad Marchand, we got Bennett, we got Ekblad, we got guys that we don't know if they're going to stick around. Let's get a Marner trade done. We got no state tax. We can get all these guys for cheap. What if Marner signs a $10 million AAV deal with the Maple Leafs, and then they immediately flip him to Florida because he'll have a higher take-home pay there? Does it work if there's salary retained? I'm thinking, hypothetically, this is not going to happen, but hypothetically, let's say the Leafs pay Marner $10 million a year, but then they retain 50% and they trade him to Florida. Only $5 million per year of the contract that Marner gets is going to be paid to him by Florida. Is that money taxed at a different rate than the amount of money that he's given from the Toronto Maple Leafs, which would be the other 50%? Does he have to pay provincial and federal tax on the $5 million portion that he receives from the Maple Leafs, and only U.S. federal tax on the Florida Panthers portion of the dollar amount? Does that mean that if he gets a lower AAV playing in Florida, does he actually not get the full benefit of being a part of a no-state tax team? It's so... Okay, I'm kind of confusing myself here. I think it's a fair question to ask, but maybe it would invalidate the need for even making a Florida Panthers push happen, because we all know that the freaking state tax thing is part of the reason why it's such a big deal. You know who's made the Stanley Cup Finals in the Eastern Conference the past 6 years? Tampa, Florida, Florida. It's state tax, man. And then on the other side, guess what? Vegas, they made the finals too. There are a number of ways we can go down when it comes to this conversation, but ultimately, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Mitch Marner story? What are your thoughts on these teams potentially being the teams? Do you think that Mitch Marner could find himself a big dollar amount deal with a squad like Anaheim or San Jose? Or do you think it's a lot more likely that he ends up signing a lower dollar amount deal with a team with no state tax like Florida or with Vegas? Is a sign and trade possible here too? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.